2018. The All Blacks lost twice. I decided that making 6 videos in 6 days was a good idea, and Lionel Boxes did this. But in amongst the headlines, it was a year in which I read this introduction 6 times, and in order to celebrate the 8 chucks that made me do this, it's time to pick the Squidge Rugby Team of the Year. Today, we round out the team by picking the guys who will no doubt be named man of the match when it comes down to it. It's the back row of the year. The job of a blindside flanker is basically to be a big old bastard and frustrate the opposition as much as humanly possible. With this in mind, it's hard to see beyond Peter O'Mahony for the 6 shirt. Watching O'Mahony play is pure pometry in motion. Whilst I'm sure he's a lovely guy, he plays like an absolute shithouse, calmly boiling the blood of an opposition pack, making them so red in the face you'd think they're a chameleon pressing themselves against his Munster shirt. Chief amongst the reasons for his selection was his performance against the All Blacks, breaking himself for the cause, but O'Mahony is amazingly consistent, the kind of player who wants to play every single game and hits the same standard every single week, no matter the opposition, even if it's the Dragons or even less impressive, the Ospreys. An excellent line-out operator, breakdown wrecker, and a very capable ball player, Peter O'Mahony is a shithouse without a shit setting. Ceilings are there for Sia Khaleesi to break. Leinster begin putting players on nutrition platforms and diet plans from the age of 13. When Sia Khaleesi was a child, however, his grandmother used to sneak him food from his friends' houses so that he could eat at all. For his first provincial trial match, Khaleesi wore boxers because he couldn't afford proper rugby shorts. And yet, by working hard and staying focused, this year Sia Khaleesi became the first black captain of the South African national rugby team. And he earned it as well. Comfortably his nation's best player last year, the work ethic that got him this shot at a better life is something he's carried with him into every match, constantly involving himself in every aspect of the play. As captain as well, he's proved a brilliant leader who's led South Africa out of a rut and into a position in which they have a genuine shot at the World Cup next year, with him at the helm. There's a story sitting in the background, but Khaleesi earned his place in this team by being a rugby player good enough to break those ceilings. Australia have not had their best year this year. I mean, they even lost to Wales, but throughout all of it, David Pocock has remained the best rugby player in the world. Having taken a year out to fight wildfire, solve global warming and restore peace to Gotham City, Pocock returned as though he'd never been away. When he isn't busy legalising gay marriage or curing dementia, Pocock is the best breakdown exponent worldwide, capable of winning Australia near infinite turnover ball for the backs to do shit all with. The only games in which Pocock wasn't Australia's main weapon were the ones in which the opposition went far out of their way to nullify him, in the process wiping out several of their own players. But beyond being an impossibly destructive ball winner, Pocock has an all-round game as good as anybody else, because for me, this is the perfect note to finish this run of videos on. With the best rugby player on the planet, and a man so frustratingly nice, you completely understand why Israel Folau is so completely in love with him. Bubbling under, it was a very busy year for back rowers. Wales's Ellis Jenkins put in 2.5 of the best performances I've seen all year from any player, and Justin Tipuric remained utterly ridiculous as he burst out of my best friend's shadow. Hamish Watson deserves a nod for being more pinball than man, and John Barkley for being a magnet to balls, pin or otherwise. Bit like your mum. Sam Underhill utilised his extensive knowledge of bastardry to finally solve England's 7-shirt dilemma. Michael Leach remained irrepressible in every match he played for Japan. Dan Levy proved himself to be one of the most annoying players in the world to play against. I mentioned Peter Steph at lock yesterday, but he put in some astonishing performances in the back row this year. Pablo Matera and Ardi Surveyor both had their best year since they first broke through. And speaking of breakthroughs, a newcomer nod to Italy's Sebastian Negri and Jake Pelledri, who both showcased fantastic form to make Sergio Parise suddenly the least interesting member of that Italy back row. And that brings the Team of the Year to an end. That is the end of it. You've now got all 15 to go out and look at. Thank you for watching these over the course of last week. It's been enormous fun to see people speculating over who I might pick, saying who they would pick, arguing that Alwyn Jones is overrated, which he absolutely isn't, and that I should pick Jacob Stockdale. The kind of things I've been called for not picking Jacob Stockdale, you wouldn't quite believe. But yeah, if anyone's new to the channel over the last week, thank you, welcome. Please stick around if you want to. I'm not going to force you to stay. But we've got all kinds of things coming up with the Six Nations, obviously in less than a month now. And then beyond that, I've got an ongoing series on every team in the World Cup, and they'll be dropping in over the course of the next 9 months leading into the World Cup. So there's all kinds of things going on here, hopefully exciting things that you will enjoy. And beyond that, thank you to everyone that supports us on Patreon. I really appreciate it. It's meant that I can do this full time in less than a year, so it's absolutely amazing. I meant I could have done that, run of 6 videos in 6 days. And thank you to Rugby Warfare for continuing to sponsor the channel, and a quick apology to Sam Warburton, my best friend, for not picking you. I realise that must have been hard, but I really appreciate it. It's meant that I can do this full time in less than a year, so it's absolutely amazing. I meant I could have done that, run of 6 videos in 6 days. And thank you to Rugby Warfare for continuing to sponsor the channel, and a quick apology to Sam Warburton, my best friend, for not picking you. all you've got to do to make this year's team is come out of retirement and win the World Cup.